You are exhausted. I see the way you hold your own breath without realizing it. The way you brace yourself, a constant low-grade tension in your shoulders, in your jaw, in the pit of your spirit. You have measured your strength and found the account empty. The well is dry. And you have begun to believe this deficit is the final truth about you. That is why I am speaking now. This message found you. It navigated the noise, the chaos, the endless stream of distractions, and it laid itself before you. This was not an accident. It is not random. I have orchestrated this moment, this specific point in the unraveling of your strength, because now you are finally ready to listen. Not with the eager ears of someone who thinks they have options, but with the desperate, quiet hearing of someone who has run out of them. You have asked, "Where were you?" You have whispered it into pillows at night. You have screamed it silently in your car. You have let it echo in the hollow places of your heart. Where were you when the bottom fell out? Where were you when my strength was spent, when my resolve crumbled to dust? You interpreted my silence as absence. You felt the void and assumed it was abandonment. That silence was necessary. There are truths you cannot hear when you are standing tall. They will only sound like theories, like pleasant poetry. They must be felt in the marrow of a broken bone to be understood. I had to let you come to the end of you. I had to allow the props to be knocked away, the crutches to splinter, the foundations you built yourself to tremble and crack. Because as long as you believed you had a reserve of strength, any at all, you would have relied on it, and it would have failed you again and again, leaving you more disillusioned, more bitter. This feeling of weakness is not your failure. It is the prerequisite. You are hollowed out. Good. The vessel is now clean. The false confidence, the pride in your own endurance, the stubborn belief that you could handle it, it has been scraped away. What you are feeling is not the end of your story. It is the bare, clean space where I can finally begin the real work. You have missed signs. Yes, I placed them along the path, but you were looking for a rescue helicopter, not a quiet trail of breadcrumbs leading deeper into the woods. You wanted a solution, an escape. I was offering a transformation. The delays, the moments you thought I said no, the doors that slammed shut, they were not rejections, they were protections. They were divine timing steering you away from a path that would have destroyed the very person I am creating you to be. Your impatience has been a war against my care. But even in that war, I showed mercy. The warning was in the weariness itself. The mercy was in not letting you succeed in your own strength. It would have been a smaller, weaker life, a prison of your own making. I love you too much for that. So hear me, directly, intimately. Your weakness does not frighten me. It does not disqualify you. It does not turn my face away. It simply makes room. Your hands are empty. Now, they can finally hold what I give. Your legs are buckling. Now, you can finally learn to lean. Your mind is frantic. Now, it can finally settle into a peace that is not your own creation. This is the hidden thing, the truth kept from you until this moment of collapse. My strength is not a backup for yours. It is the only strength that has ever existed in you. Every good thing, every moment you thought was you, that was me, flowing through the vessel. You have been crediting the clay for the water it held. Now the clay is dry, and you are afraid it is worthless. But the cracking of the vessel is how the light gets out. The story you have been telling yourself is ending. The story of your own sufficiency. It is a merciful ending. Do not fight it. The weight you feel is the crushing of the seed, not the burial of the corpse. Something is breaking open. Something is being prepared. This is part one, the acknowledgement, the setting straight of the record. We are going to go deeper. We are going to pull back the veil on the silence, on the waiting, on the hidden purpose behind what feels like breaking. It will be heavy. It will be honest. It may feel dark before the dawn breaks within you, but it is truth. And truth, my child, does not bring fear. It brings the terrifying, wonderful clarity that sets you free. Rest here for a moment. Breathe. The pressure you feel is not annihilation. It is the touch of a potter, hands steady on the spinning clay, beginning a new, better shape. I know what you do in the quiet. When the world sleeps and your mind races, you replay the moments of fracture, the conversation that broke you, the news that stole your breath, the slow, grinding erosion of a hope you once held dear. You sift through the debris, looking for the mistake you made, the moment you took the wrong turn, the sin that might have caused this. Stop. You are searching for a reason within your own economy of cause and effect. You believe if you can find the flaw, you can fix it. You can rebuild the wall. You can regain the strength. That search is a distraction. It is the last futile effort of a mind that believes it must save itself. I allowed the fracture. Let that settle into the stillness, not as a punishment, but as a surgery. There is a sickness in the human soul, the belief that you are the architect, the builder, the sustainer of your own life. It is a deep, hidden infection. It makes you anxious, arrogant, and utterly exhausted. It must be removed. And removal requires a cutting. You feel weak because I have withdrawn the anesthetic. For years, perhaps for your whole life, you have been numbed by a false sense of control, by the belief that your diligence could ward off disaster, your goodness could guarantee ease, your faith could force my hand. That was the anesthesia. And it allowed you to function, yes, but it also allowed the sickness to grow undetected. Now you are awake, on the table, feeling every incision. And you think this raw, sharp awareness of your limitation is a curse. It is the first true blessing. I am not explaining the why of your circumstances, not yet. To do so would be to give your intellect another puzzle to solve, another system to manage. You would trade the surgery for a manual. I am not giving you a manual. I am giving you myself. The silence you have endured. It was not the silence of indifference. It was the intense, focused silence of a surgeon at work. When a life is on the line, there are no speeches. There is only purposeful action. My silence was the atmosphere of a sacred, invasive operation. I was cutting away the necrotic tissue of your self-reliance. It had to be done in the quiet, or you would have begged me to stop. You see the scars now. You feel the phantom pain of what is gone. You look at the raw wound of your weakness and see only vulnerability. I see a clean field, a site ready for healing, a space where something entirely new, something not of your making, can be grafted in. You have asked for answers. I am giving you a new heart. You have asked for relief. I am giving you a new nature. You have asked for your strength to return. I am showing you that it was never really there to begin with. What you called strength was a nervous, fragile imitation, a rattling generator you wore yourself out trying to fuel. My strength is not a substance I inject into your old muscles. It is an entirely different source of power. It does not originate in you. It flows through you. Your weakness, this very feeling of emptiness and incapacity, is the unclogging of the channel, the removal of the blockage. The blockage was you, your plans, your strivings, your need to understand before you would trust. I told you there were missed signs. Here is one. Every time you hit a wall, every time a plan dissolved, every time a human strength failed, that was a signpost. It was pointing away from that path. You kept looking at the sign and grieving the closed road, when I was trying to turn your head toward the open field. You wanted a paved highway. I am leading you through a living wilderness where you cannot navigate, so you must follow. The delay in your understanding was necessary. If you had understood at the beginning where this path led, through the valley of your own irrelevance, you would have run. You would have chosen a smaller, safer, saner story. A story where you were still the hero. This story is better. In this story, you are the beloved, and the hero is someone else entirely. Your weakness is the stage where my strength performs its masterpiece. A crowded stage leaves no room for the performance. I have cleared it. It feels bare. It feels exposed. It feels terrifying. That is how you know it is almost time. The music is about to change. The light is about to shift. You, in your emptiness, are finally in position. The heavy work of dismantling is nearing completion. What comes next is not a rebuilding, but a resurrection. Not of your old strengths, but of a life you have not yet imagined. You are not being prepared for a better version of your old battles. You are being prepared for a peace that dismantles battles altogether. Pause here. In the quiet of the operating room, the worst of the cutting is over. The stillness is not abandonment. It is the pause where the surgeon looks at the clean, open space and sees not a wound, but the possibility of a future. Do not rush to stitch yourself back up. Stay in this sacred vulnerability. The healer is still here. His hands are still covered in the evidence of your liberation. His focus is entirely on you. Breathe the sterile air of this new beginning. Your weakness is not your shame. It is my sacred workspace. There is a storm inside you. It has no name, but you know its weather. It is the gale force wind of what if, the heavy low pressure of never again, the chilling hail of if only. You try to outrun it. You build mental shelters of distraction, of busyness, of platitudes. But the storm always finds you. It is the turbulence of a soul caught between two kingdoms, the one you were told to build and the one I am building in you. This turmoil is not your enemy. It is the collision. You are trying to reconcile an impossible equation, your profound weakness with my promised strength. Your mind tells you they must meet in the middle, that you must muster some strength, and then I will add the rest. That our partnership is a divine balancing act. That is a lie. It is not a merger. It is a surrender. Your weakness and my strength are not two ingredients in a recipe. Your weakness is the bowl, cracked, empty, and aware of its own insufficiency. My strength is not an ingredient to be poured into it. It is the very hand that lifts the bowl, that holds it, that decides its purpose. The bowl does not help. It simply agrees to be used. This is the inner transformation that must precede any external change. The recalibration of your entire understanding of power. You have believed strength is for winning. I am telling you, true strength is for yielding. You look at your life, the unresolved conflicts, the lingering pains, the situations that defy your control, and you think, if I were stronger, I could fix this. And so you redouble your efforts. You strategize in the dark. You wrestle with phantoms. And with each failed attempt, the storm inside you grows. I'm asking you to do the one thing that feels like death. To stop. To lay down the mantle of the fixer. To unclench your hands from the levers you were never meant to pull. The peace you crave will not be found when the storm around you ceases. It will be found when the storm within you is allowed to rage. And you discover, in its very center, a silence so deep it defies all weather. This is the mystery. This is the truth that felt too dark, too strange to comprehend before now. My strength is most perfectly displayed not in the elimination of your weakness, but in its enduring existence. My power is made perfect in weakness. not after weakness, not in spite of weakness, but within its very fabric. The thorn in your side, the chronic pain, the persistent flaw, the nagging insecurity, the situation that will not bend to your will, you have begged me to remove it. You have interpreted its presence as my inattention, or worse, my displeasure. What if it is my signature? What if it is the deliberate, loving mark to ensure you never again confuse your strength for mine? That you never graduate from the school of grace? That you are permanently, gloriously dependent? That thorn is not your failure. It is your anchor. It ties you to reality. It humbles you before me. It makes you relatable to other hurting souls. It is the uninterrupted current of your need, and it keeps the circuit of my grace flowing. To remove it would be to risk your soul's starvation. You would in time believe you had outgrown your need for me. Do you see the mercy now? The warning mixed within the wound? I am protecting you from the true catastrophe, a life of self-sufficient emptiness. This is why everything couldn't be explained earlier. You would have argued, you would have bargained, you would have said, I can handle strength, just give me the plan. You are not ready to understand that the plan is the weakness. The plan is the dependence. The plan is for you to cease being the source and become the conduit. The delayed understanding is itself a grace. It allowed you to exhaust every alternative. It allowed you to come to the end of your own solutions with finality. Now the truth does not come as a theory. It comes as the only possible answer to a question you are finally asking with your whole being. What now, when I have nothing? Now you listen, not for a 5-step strategy, but for a whisper. My grace is sufficient for you. It is sufficient. Not abundant for your projects, not funding for your ambitions. Sufficient. Exactly enough for the moment you are in, for the next breath, for the next step you cannot see. It is the manna that cannot be stored, only gathered daily. Your weakness is the daily hunger that makes you seek it. The external change you long for, the healing, the provision, the resolution, will come, but it will blossom from the root of this internal surrender. It will be a natural fruit, not a manufactured trophy. It will carry the fragrance of grace, not the sweat of striving. So let the storm rage. Stop fighting the wind. Instead, listen for the voice that speaks in the whirlwind. It is not shouting over the gale. It is murmuring in the eye of it. In the center of your fear, your exhaustion, your not knowing. That quiet central point. That is where I am. You have been battling the storm to get to me. I am not on the other side of it. I am in its very heart, in your weakness, in your not enough. That is the location of the throne. This is the heavy, liberating truth. Your weakness is not a problem to be solved. It is the designated meeting place. Do not despise the storm. Do not fear the emptiness. You are standing on holy ground. You have been keeping a ledger. It is written in your soul, a deep and scarred parchment. On one side, the debts owed to you, the injustices, the betrayals, the dreams deferred, the energy spent. On the other, a tally of your payments, your faithfulness, your efforts, your tears, your resilience. You look at the imbalance and feel the heat of a righteous anger. It feels like strength. It fuels you. It keeps you moving. That ledger is a lie, and the anger is a phantom strength that is eating you alive. I must take this from you. This is the final, fierce idol of the human heart. The belief that you know what you are owed, that you can adjudicate fairness, that your pain earns you a certain outcome. It is a weight you were never meant to carry, and it is breaking your back. You think forgiving the debt in your ledger is weakness. You think it means letting the guilty go free, letting the pain go unanswered, surrendering your last shred of power. I tell you, It is the only transaction that leads to true strength. My strength. Holding that ledger is what makes you feel so weary. You are not just carrying your burdens. You are carrying the entire impossible responsibility of universal justice. You have appointed yourself judge, jury, and collector, and the court is always in session inside your own mind. No wonder you are tired. No wonder you feel weak. My strength flows into a heart that is open, not clenched. A heart that is a reservoir, not a courtroom. Your clenched fist, gripping that list of wrongs, cannot receive a thing. Not peace, not power, not me. This is the hidden reason for this season of breaking. I am not just breaking your self-reliance. I am breaking your claim to justice. It feels dark. It feels like I am asking you to surrender the last sacred piece of your dignity, the right to be angry. I am not. I am asking you to transfer the case to a higher court, to a judge who sees every hidden motive, every wound, every ripple of consequence, to a judge who wears the scars of every injustice himself. Your ledger is incomplete. It is subjective. It is poisoned by your own pain. You cannot see the whole story. I can. Your weakness in this moment is your inability to make the balance sheet right. You cannot collect what you are owed. You cannot undo what was done. That inability is not a failure. It is a divine limitation placed on you for your own salvation. If you could exact perfect justice, you would become a monster. You would destroy others and yourself in the process. So I have let you come to the end of your own justice, to the raw, disorienting realization that you cannot fix the past, you cannot control others, you cannot force an apology or a restoration. You are powerless to balance the scales. Good. Now hand me the ledger. Not to excuse the wrong, but to entrust the judgment to the only one capable of executing it with perfect wisdom and perfect mercy. This is the ultimate act of strength, to consciously, painfully, relinquish the right to settle the score yourself. It is to say, this is beyond me. I put it in hands that are infinitely stronger and wiser than mine. This is what was hidden until now. My strength is not merely power to endure. It is the power to release. To forgive not because the debt isn't real, but because you are transferring it to a different account. My account. I have already absorbed the cost. When you do this, something will happen in the spiritual realm. The energy you have spent on keeping accounts, the bitter vigilance, the mental replay, the emotional toll will be freed. It is a massive drain on your spirit. That energy will return to you, not as the bitter fuel of anger, but as the clean, fierce power of liberation. You will stand for the first time in the true strength of a debt-free soul. Not because the debts weren't real, but because you are no longer the creditor. The weight of the world's wrongs against you will lift from your shoulders. You will feel lighter than you have in years. This is why the silence was necessary before this truth. If I had asked you to surrender your ledger when you still had fight left in you, you would have refused. You would have called it unfair. You had to feel the absolute fatigue of carrying it. You had to see that your own justice is a dead end that only exhausts you while changing nothing. Now you are ready. This is the transformation before the change. The internal release before the external shift. The prison door is not locked from the outside. It is locked from the inside by your own hand, holding that list of grievances. My strength is the courage to let it go. The mercy is in the warning. That path of resentment leads only to a deeper, darker weakness, a soul shackled to its past. The truth brings clarity. You are not weak because you can't get even. You are being made strong because you are learning to let go. Look at your hands. They are tired from holding that heavy, invisible book. Open them. let the pages fall. I am here to receive them. And what I will give you in return is not a different ledger. It is a clean, empty slate, and on it, I will begin to write a new story. A story that starts not with a debt, but with a gift. You are closer than you think. The deepest prison is the one you carry within. The key is in your surrender. There is a version of you that is dying. You feel its spasms, its last frantic grasps for air. You mourn it in advance. You are afraid of the silence that will come when its voice finally goes quiet. You have known this version of yourself for so long. It is the you that learned how to survive, the you that built walls where there should have been windows, the you that learned to predict hurt and outmaneuver it, the you that performed, pleased, and polished the exterior while the interior grew cold. That version of you is not your enemy. It served a purpose. It got you this far. But it cannot take you where we are going. Its strength was always a borrowed strength, a strength of facade, of defense, of control. It is the strength of a fortress. And a fortress, by its very nature, is a prison. It keeps things out, yes, but it also seals you in, alone, in the dark. What you are experiencing as weakness, the crumbling of your defenses, the failure of your strategies, the unmasking of your pretense, is not your destruction. It is the demolition of the prison. The walls are coming down, the light is pouring in, and it is terrifying because it feels exposed. It feels unsafe. The dying version of you is screaming that this exposure is weakness, that vulnerability is death. I am telling you, it is the first condition of true life. My strength does not flow into fortresses. It flows into yielded fields, into open hands, into broken vessels. The very cracks you are trying to hide, the insecurity, the fear, the need, are becoming the network through which my light will travel into the darkest corners of this world. You have asked, why now? Why let me build this life, this identity, only to dismantle it? Because you had to have something to lose. You had to invest in the false self to understand its bankruptcy. You had to stand upon the tower of your own achievements and look out, only to see a desert, to feel the profound loneliness of that height. If you had nothing to surrender, your surrender would mean nothing. It would be a theory. This is the divine timing that has felt so much like divine neglect. I was waiting for the precise moment when the pain of remaining in the prison would finally exceed your fear of the open field. That moment is now. The death of this old version is a sacred and necessary grief. Do not rush it. Do not numb it. Let the tears fall for the self you worked so hard to build. Acknowledge its service. And then, with a courage that is not your own, let it go. What emerges from this death will not be a better version of the old you. It will be something entirely new. A you that is less about constructing an identity and more about receiving one. A you whose strength is not in its imperviousness, but in its connectedness to me and to others in their weakness. This is the warning mixed with the deepest mercy. If you try to resurrect the old version, if you try to patch the walls as they fall, you will succeed only in building a smaller, darker prison. The mercy is that I am not letting you. The pressure you feel, the circumstances that refuse to be fixed by your old methods, these are the tools of a loving demolition. You are not being punished. You are being liberated. The clarity that is coming is not a set of answers. It is a settledness in the mystery. It is the understanding that you do not need to know the map when you know the guide. The old you demanded the itinerary. The new you will learn to trust the whisper. This internal ending is the only path to your true purpose. The purpose you have sensed but could never quite grasp. You could not grasp it because your hands were full of your own tools, your own blueprints, your own fragile version of yourself. Empty hands are ready to receive a purpose that is not a task, but a destiny. Not a job, but a belonging. Amen.